Hi everybody, welcome to Woodworking Wisdom. My name's Colwin, and today on the camera trickery we have Steph. I'm going to need Steph occasionally because I'm now going to make a crochet kit for you, and we're going to look at a knitting needle as well. And it's not my my area of expertise, so I'm being guided through the process here. I know what I'm doing in terms of turning, but when it comes to crocheting and knitting, probably not so. Now we have done a yarn bowl before, and that's the idea behind what we're about to do. So with the crochet kit and the knitting needle. So we've got rather a nice kit on this one. The crochet kit itself, we've got several sizes of needle in there, so they can be changed around. Look at that nice kit, this one. Really well made crochet needles. So we're gonna turn the handle for this one, and it's just literally like making a pen, really. So we've got a brass tube that we're gonna drill our blank into, and I'm going to use a bit of ash. So we're going to we'll go through the process on how we construct that. We're going to glue that up while the glue's drying. Then we're going to make a knitting needle, and then come back to this one afterwards. And then obviously final assembly and everything. So let's have a look how we start. Now, bearing in mind that tube, I have a pen blank here, or a kit blank, a crochet kit blank. It's around about 25mm, which is way too big. It's excessive really for what we need, but it was a blank that I had lying around. I've just cut it to length, slightly bigger than the size of the barrel, and then I'm going to sand the ends up just to clean around to it. So let's go through that process. 8mm hole I need to drill on this one. I've already got my drill bit set up, and we're going to use the pen blanks, hold the corners, and we're going to have to go all the way through on this one. So lathe speed is 0, turn the lathe on, turn the lathe up. I'll drill around about, I think probably for this drill bit size, about 1200 will be ample. I've already checked to make sure head and tailstock line up, and we're good. There we are. Just going to keep clearing the swarf just to stop too much heat build up. If you do get a lot of noise and screeching and things like that, then a little bit of wax on there, but just be mindful that you've got to glue your barrel into this afterwards, so not too much. Yeah, we're getting there now, so I'm going to lock the tailstock up, do the final pass. There we are, all the way through. Bring that one out. Let's just double check. So if I take that out of the jaws now, we should see, there we are, we've got that hole running all the way through. There we go. So that bit's done. So now we can just disassemble the lathe a little bit, so drill can come out, drill chuck can be put away. Okay, so that one's all drilled. Let's get some glue, and we'll glue in the barrel. We need to leave that a little bit of time, so I'll do the knitting needle whilst this is drying, and then we can trim back to our tube. So I'm using 5-minute epoxy here. 5-minute epoxy, that's gonna be dry in 5 minutes. So there we are, 50-50. So resin and hardener. Just giving it a good mix. There we are. Done, and I'm just gonna grab the tube. It's already scuffed up, so it's got some good adhesion, and that's gonna pop in there. It's gonna feed it down. I tend to prefer epoxy to glue these in. If you're messing around with super glue, it takes It's really quick to dry, and you just don't have enough sort of play time really, or open time with the epoxy. It gives you a little bit of time to play. You can see that I've got that really well covered. It's sunk in. We're at the right place. All I need to do now is just leave that to one side, let that dry, whilst we turn our knitting needle. There we go. So let's just put our glue out the way. That'll be my tester. Once that's ready to, once the glue is dry, we can start thinking about turning. Now look what I'm doing here. If I can get this in the overhead. I'm not being overly fussy with this knitting needle blank. This is a 12mm square, half-inch square piece. We're going to turn a 6mm quarter-inch knitting needle with classic knitting needle shape, and I'm going to do that with friction. So friction drive, both in the head, or we're going to have a friction in the head and then a ring center in the tailstock. Knitting needles, by my research and by Steph's advice, are around about 14 inches, so 350. Okay, so there's our blank. It's all ready. What we've got here is a friction drive in this end and the ring center, so the profiled equivalent to the friction drive in the tailstock. But of course, the tailstock will be a live center. So friction here, live center this side. We're going to turn this. This is a piece of walnut, so we're going to turn it quite quickly because of the small diameter. And we're going to have the classic knitting needle shape. So we're going to have a rose up this end, so a ball, and then the 6mm knitting needle going down to a point this end. There's going to be a small amount of waste, so just going to part off, and this is all going to be done with a skew chisel. So everything with a skew. So we'll support halfway through. Once we've got the corners gone, we're going to support with our fingers as well. So just make sure you've got nothing on your arms that can catch in the lathe. So that's running at 2,500. So let's get a skew. I'm going to go with a fairly chunky skew chisel. Just going to give it a quick sharpen on the old diamond file first, just to get that edge prepped and ready. And it's a fine diamond file, so 600 grit. There we go, that'll do it. And then we'll start by roughing down. So you can push pull. So you push forward and then you can pull back, forward and back. Same the other way. Anytime you start to lose friction, just a little bit of a tweak with the tailstock. So we're getting a little bit of flex now, so I'm going to start supporting. I'm going to drop the tool rest down just so I don't have to raise my shoulders quite as much. So we're down to a cylinder all the way along. This is where I'm going to put the bead. So a bead's going to go in around about here. So let's take this end down to our 6mm. Nice sharp skew for doing this, otherwise you're going to get too much friction build up. Skew's really good at planing, so it helps you keep that diameter the same. Right, that's about the right size now, so let's take that along. There we are, just making our way back towards the bead. There we go, so let's roll that bead over. It's going to go with a smaller skew to do that, just for access really. So heel, over, and I'm just literally twisting the tool using the heel point as my cutting surface. Little V cut on this side. And then for the end of the needle, we're just going to take this down to a dull point. There we are, that will do us. And I think we're about there. I think that's now the point to start sanding. And I'm going to start with a relatively coarse abrasive, just to iron out a few my lumps where that's bouncing a little bit. A little bit more pressure. I can't put too much pressure on at this stage, obviously, because we've got only a limited amount of timber there. And I also don't want to press too hard with the abrasive. There we are, and because of what it is, we're going to use a friction polish on this. So, a little bit of tissue. Friction polish is really going to help it slide through the wool, because it's got a lot of carnauba wax in it, which is particularly a slippery surface. So friction polish, this is going to bring out the colour as well, of course. A little bit more. Remember, I don't know whether I said it earlier, but this is a lovely piece of walnut. It's full of colour. There we are. Now, friction polish, you've got to add a little bit of friction, but I've got to be quite careful not to pinch too hard as well. We've got a small amount of timber left now. You can quite easily twist that needle. There we are. So, final bits on this one is just to part off. I'm going to take a little bit more material away from what is the bead. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to go to the point, do the same thing, but this time I'm going to part all the way through. And there we go. Here we are. So my last little job for that needle is just to take off a little bit of waste here, and then we're good to go. So to do that, let's add a sanding disc. That'd probably be the best way. And the sanding disc can be one of your power sanding pads held in the chuck, or it can be a true sanding disc. So if I remove that center, pop that to one side, and let's go with, where's my sanding disc? We'll put the C-jaws on, because the C-jaws are going to be the way of holding either, whether it's the big sanding disc or small power sanding disc, but that's at hand, so we'll quickly put that on. Lazy speed goes down, of course, and then we're just going to get a little bit of extraction on the disc. Yeah, I mean, you could just cut that waste away first and then hand sand if you want to. For me, this is the quickest option. There we are. And then again, maybe a little bit of hand sanding with the final grip, just on the very nib. A little bit of your already wet rag. And there you have your knitting needle. Of course, you need to make the other one. I'm guessing they work in pairs, Steph, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. So there we are. So there's your first knitting needle. Now on to your next one. 6mm, that one. I probably wouldn't and couldn't go that much thinner on that material, on that walnut. It was starting to bounce a little bit, but we got it to 6mm. That was good. But yeah, there's your knitting needle. Now, hopefully, let's just have a test. Where's my glue block? Glue blocks. The glue's dry. Look. The wood breaks rather than the glue, which is a good sign, which should mean that the glue on here is dry. So that's nice and dry now. I'm not getting any on my finger. So instead of going to the barrel trimmer, I'm just going to sand it. I've got this on already, so I'm going to put a platform, sand back to the barrel, and then we can get the pen mandrel on and actually turn the crochet handle. Right then, dust extraction on again. And I'm just going to sand. You can put a little right angle in here, a little square if you want to. But by just trimming back, keep turning them over, just until you see that metal start to shine. There we are. You can see it start to glisten. Once it glistens, you know that you've hit the metal and you're ready to go. All good. So, slight change of tack on the lathe. So we get rid of our platform. Take off the disc. Move the chuck. Yeah, and we're going to add pen mandrel, and in the tailstock the live hollow center that carries the pen mandrel. Okay, just double check, make sure alignment is good, alignment's perfect, and then we can add our blank and bushings, most importantly. So the bushings I've got here, I've got two sizes. We do have a top and a bottom. Okay, so we're going to put the large size on first. Bring the blank over. Fit into the bushing. It will fit. And then the same on the other side. Bring up our pen mandrel, or hollow live, and then compress onto it. Now, if you've never made a pen before, the whole idea about this, so the pen mandrel carries the blank and the bushings that are the right diameter for the metal or the hardware in the kit itself. So I have two slight different diameter bushings here. So as long as I turn down to those two on both sides, I can do whatever I want in the middle as long as I don't go too narrow and through to the brass tube. So I can design the handle. Those are going to be the important dimensions though. So let's go to small tool rest. This is only a small piece of timber. We're going to turn quite quick. Okay, so we're all mounted up between centres in the mandrel. So now all I'm going to do up to about 2000 revs, and we'll rough down and then create shape. I'm not going to go too bold. I've got a clip on this one as well, so it's almost like a pen clip. So if I go too intricate in design, then that's going to be a problem for the clip. So I'm going to go fairly plain. Go a little bit quicker to stop the lathe stopping. What's happening is a little bit too much pressure on the blank. Yeah, now we're getting around the solid timber. It's behaving itself a bit more. There we are, nearly there. A little bit more. This sort of lozenge shape is going to work for this one. Just going to go down to the diameter on both sides, and then we can think about sanding again. Right, that side to size. Same on the larger end. So just a little bit careful now, coming gentle toward the end so you don't break out. There we are, that's good. I think overall I'm sort of happy with that shape. We'll just take a little bit of that belly away. Good. Just do a little bit of decoration. So we'll put a couple of little V-cuts in. Just because. That'll do. And then we'll sand. So let's go back with the dust extraction. There we are. A little bit of the 400. I've skipped a load of grits here. Obviously, spend as much time as you want on the sanding process. It's as equally as important as the actual turning itself, because this is where your good finish is going to come from. But there we are. That'll do with that one. Back with our friction polish. Turn the lathe off just for a minute. Add the friction polish, start buffing it up. I tend to go to a nice dry section to do the final buffing, and add some pressure. And that should be it. There we are. Lovely bit of ash, that one. Quite dark. A bit of an olive ash. So now, last thing is assembly. And now we've got a couple of bits we're going to assemble. Right, that's all the turning and sanding done. So let's remove it from the mandrel. Get rid of my bushings just to one side. And I'm just giving myself a bit of space. I'm going to take out the pen mandrel from the lathe. It's gone. So then we have our turned piece that we have. So there we are. We have the turn piece, we've got the thin end, and we've got the larger end. So this is the clip end. So we're going to put that on first. Press. There we are. So that's the nib. So there's a little retaining clip that has to go in here. So I've just started it off. You push it all the way in, and then that will then retain any of the needles that you want to put in. When you want to swap them, take that out, put the next one in, or seal it up, and there's your clip, all ready to be used. There we are. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. We made a couple of projects there. We made the actual crochet hook itself, and a knitting needle. So a little bit of fun, taking me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I've enjoyed it. So thank you ever so much for joining us today. If you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to share us around, give us a thumbs up, hit that notifications button to be notified of any other videos that are coming. So until next time, thank you very much and bye-bye.